Hand clap to the master, guys. We are finally back again for another reaction on the one and only Mystelics reaction, guys. With that said, guys, big up all the Mystelics YouTube family who have definitely tuned into another, the very first out of two reactions I will be dropping yet again today, guys. So big up on yourself for tuning into the first one right there. Mystelics family, all you know the deal already. Give this video a thumbs up. I would appreciate that. And of course, the newcomers out there, big up on yourself as well for definitely tuning into this here reaction video. Boom bang, guys. If you have not done so, definitely subscribe and turn on that post notification. Click subscribe, click the bell, and then click all, and you'll be pretty much notified when I drop my videos right there and then, guys. This video was circulating a lot from yesterday as well as today, and I figured I would definitely react to this video for you guys right there to get my views on it. So let us get into it right there. Hopefully I see the camera on 4%. Hopefully not 4%, 4 minutes remaining, but we'll see how long this battery lasts. I can always switch to the phone right there. Anyways, guys, let's continue.
Prime Minister of Dominica, SKERRIT, received a favor from Biden in the nation's general elections.
Before I continue, guys, right there, guys, it's always amazing when I'm seeing foreigners. I mean, that person does not look like anybody that is from Dominica descent, and they're talking about what is taking place with the government of Dominica, as if the Dominican people cannot see what is taking place in their own country. Well, apparently foreigners are definitely taking note as to what exactly is going on right there. Let's go back to the starting. And it's interesting not to say that they misplaced in Dominica Republic with Dominica, you know, guys. They know Dominica, you see the flag, the Prime Minister, of course, you can't mistake it. This, of course, seems to be the previous flag. But anyways, guys, with all that said right there, let's continue.
Recently, the Prime Minister of Dominica...
Because it's interesting, you see the black there, and then you see the black in the middle. Which flag is our own? Anyways, guys, let's continue.
Dominica, SKERRIT. Recently, the Prime Minister of Dominica, SKERRIT, received a favor from Biden in the nation's general elections.
He received the favor from Biden. We hear that properly now?
SKERRIT received a favor from Biden in the nation's general elections.
He received a favor from Biden in the nation's general elections. Now, guys, I oftentimes hear myself, or not myself, I oftentimes hear other people talking about the interference of Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton in other people's elections. There's one particular one, I cannot name the country, but when that person started dealing with the, Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton, apparently they started winning all the elections. Now we're hearing that Biden is meddling in Dominica's election. Maybe we don't hear that properly. Let's get this over in. Let's get this back again.
Recently, the Prime Minister of Dominica, SKERRIT, received a favor from Biden in the nation's general elections.
What is that favor?
Now, it is his turn, so he is taking care of one of the main aspirations of the US, and that is to expand its electric vehicle industry. There is nothing wrong.
Now, guys, I don't know where they're getting this information from, but let's say what they're saying there is in fact true. Now, I don't know what is the whole basis of this thing right there, but it seems like it would make sense. Especially when it comes down to the climate resilient, what do you call that again? Climate change kind of thing that is taking place, that seems to be taking place in the world, where they want people to then move into getting electric cars. But I think if that is the case, if Biden was interfering in the elections of Dominica, you know, Dominica can't afford electric cars. I mean, Dominica can't even get hybrid. Most of Dominicans cannot even afford hybrid cars. Far more to get electric cars. And then you wonder why exactly, but it makes sense at the end of the day though, guys. It makes sense at the end of the day because you're thinking to yourself, why exactly is this thing happening to Dominica alone? Because the rest of the Caribbean islands had gas. The rest of the Caribbean have a lot of things. The rest of the Caribbean, gas prices have gone down. Why is Dominica the only one that has gone up and have gas shortage? What exactly is going on? There seems to be something happening behind the scenes that we are not aware of.
Wrong with that, but the strategy adopted by SKERRIT to please his master is extremely brazen and exhibits how cheap politics is the root cause of most problems.
And it's not just that, you know, guys. In agriculture, in a number of things, Dominica has received the most amount of money it has ever received as a result of the CBI programs. We have $4.2 billion missing out of Dominica's wallet, out of the consolidated fund. We have this amount missing. And then when you think of what could have been done with that money, nothing has been done. Yet still you see the Prime Minister building an even bigger mansion that his previous mansions or mansion is, which doesn't make any sense to me. What is going on? You mean to tell me we got all these monies and nothing is being done, only they're giving people housing? That is our development right there. You guys need to tune into the other reaction. That will be in the first comment in the comment box below, guys. Because even Nasif, Yvonne, whatever is his name, Nasif was even making a mention of that very thing I'm talking about right there. Anyways, let's continue.
Hello and welcome to TFI Global Caribbean, TFI Global's channel specially dedicated to the land of sun and sand. I'm your host Akanksha. Let us begin. Dominica is currently experiencing
This is definitely not Dominica, but okay.
An energy crisis. Its Trade Minister Dr. Vince Henderson
Vince, not Vince, Vince.
stated that it is due to the weather condition in the country.
Hey, I tell you.
He also noted that the main supplier of fuel, West Indies Oil Company, had already informed them about this issue. Similarly,
how they can inform Dominica alone about the issue when West Indies Oil didn't have any other problem across the Caribbean? They didn't have any other problem across the Caribbean, but they had a problem in Dominica. Guys, doesn't this thing sound fishy to you? With the indication of that individual himself right there, it kind of makes you wonder, maybe that might have some truth to it. Because if they're to complain about West Indies Oil and West Indies Oil is telling Dominicans that apparently it's only Dominica where the conditions are affecting, but the rest of the Caribbean islands are not getting affected, doesn't that tell you something?
Similarly, in addition to shortage of fuel, Dominicans are also struggling with a fuel which is of poor quality.
That's true. That's another thing that he was saying, because I remember when, I think, was it Suki? I think it was Suki. Well, it's alleged that Suki got some sort of gas from somewhere, and the kind of quality gas was actually damaging people's vehicles. I'm not exactly 100% certain of this, but a number of persons indicated that to me as well. So, hey.
Many have raised concerns regarding its impact on their vehicles. The government responded by
Look, they change the flag again. Look, the black is in the middle. For any reason.
Stating that it will establish a more robust structure to resolve this crisis. However, the government of Dominica put the entire blame on PetroCaribe for this unprecedented problem, despite the main supplier of fuel to the nation being the US.
That I find that to be very difficult, because Vince Henderson came out and stated, rightfully so, that it was as a result of Ruby's leaving that helped alleviate that problem. Because Rubies were also bringing in their own oils, their own gas, their own fuel into Dominica. They were not taking from West Indies Oil like what is happening today. And another thing I have to point out, a number of persons noticed this as well. There was even a voice message that I got from an individual, and he said he's betting that Ruby's gas station gets oil before West Indies Oil. So West Indies Oil is bringing gas into Dominica, and they are feeding their competitors before they give the other gas stations. That is what took place this morning, brothers and sisters. A number of persons have indicated this to me, stating, oh, how come West Indies Oil gas stations don't have gas before Ruby? So apparently, the West Indies Oil is bringing in oil for Ruby's gas station to get oils first, before they give the people. I tell you, you feeding your competitor. That making sense to you? You feeding your competitor first? You know, like when you have a glass and everybody taking a drink from it, and if the last person get. But the man that bringing in the West Indies Oil is bringing in gas into Dominica, and they're giving their competitors first before they give their gas stations around the island. It's not the competitors are supposed to get last. How on earth they get in first? I don't understand that. I don't understand that. That making sense.
Now, why does the government of Dominica put the entire responsibility of ensuring better quality of fuel on PetroCaribe instead of the US? PetroCaribe.
Why would there be a need for the US? I don't get that one. I think they need to get it from Venezuela and a number of other places. They don't need to go to the US for this thing. We really don't need the US to get fuel from. That's not another dependency thing. But if that is the case, and then they go into Biden to get fuel, That is a very confusing kind of dilemma for me, brothers and sisters.
Is an initiative which was launched by former Venezuelan leader Hugo Chavez to sell oil and gas to Caribbean countries at discounted and subsidized rates.
Yeah, I think if that is the case, PetroCaribe getting gas from them, definitely do so. They don't need to go to the US to do this. The world does not revolve around the United States, you know. Especially when the United States is shutting down their own oils for their people to suffer and then increasing inflation, and then they blaming it on the war apparently that is going on in the East. And then you want us to participate in that? No, we'll stick with Venezuela and Trinidad and wherever else. But I think we need to organize ourselves. We need to go back to Bird Island. I think we need to go back to Bird Island. But then again, they give Bird Island up, and we hear that Bird Island has a have a lot of oil on it. That is something special.
Therefore, it is clearly evident that the Dominican government's intention here is to defame PetroCaribe in order to persuade Caribbean nations which rely on energy supplies from Venezuela to buy oil and gas from the US.
I highly doubt that is the case at all. I highly 100% doubt that is the case, because Dominica and Venezuela have a good relationship. I highly doubt even the United States is trying to get oil from Venezuela, because they check in, they don't want to go on Russia's side. They don't want to depend on Russia again. So they want to depend on Venezuela. How then would Dominica leave Venezuela, who has a good relationship? Dominica and Venezuela have a good relationship, to the point where the Prime Minister is going to Venezuela to get money to come back to Dominica during election time, and then leave Venezuela to go and get petrol in the United States. That doesn't make any sense to me. That makes no logical sense at all.
Now, it is not a hidden fact that the US wants to create its monopoly in the global electric vehicle industry.
I know that is for sure. They definitely want to do this. But when you say Dominica is trying to move away from Venezuela, PetroCaribe to go to America, that doesn't make any sense to me. Or maybe me, I don't understand. Guys, let me know if I misunderstood what you were saying.
Not too long ago, it objected to South Africa's plan to invest a part of the $8.5 billion in climate funds, which is going to be provided by nations like France and Germany on its EV sector.
Didn't I hear that it was the US who was trying to push electric cars into South Africa? They were giving I think about $100 and something billion to push electric cars in South Africa. Help that makes sense to me. Maybe I'm reading wrong.
Coming back to the issue being faced by Dominicans due to substandard quality of the fuel, their vehicles are not functioning properly, and in some cases it is not able to start.
So it seems like there's a mixture of information there, from what we actually know versus what they get in, and we don't understand. Maybe they get in their own thing to push their agenda in whatever thing that is. But some things that this person is saying is not adding up. It's not adding up. Some things you're saying adds up. Some things we tend to wonder, maybe that is the case, linking with Biden, and maybe that's something meddling in elections or whatever. Who knows what is going on behind closed doors? But not everything that person is saying seems to be adding up at all.
This is precisely what the Biden administration and SKERRIT's regime want. They want Dominicans to rely on the substandard quality of fuel from the US, which will have adverse implications on their vehicles.
You see, like that part, I think that is completely wrong. That statement that you made there, I think, is 100% completely wrong. Because the Dominica government is not one of the people who would say, oh, let me side with America. No, they wouldn't do this. They definitely wouldn't do this. I'm 100% certain of that.
And when Dominicans will be forced to dump their vehicles, the US government will offer them the non-electric vehicles in the country which are not finding any buyers.
That self would be insane. Because you know why I say what you're saying there, what they call them, TFI Global Caribbean, what you're saying there is completely insane. You know what? You know a company called Domlec? You know that company called Domlec? Then California is having a problem with the very same thing, saying you can only charge your car in this amount of time for that amount of time between these hours and that hours, because there's a energy problem in California, especially with the rise with them wanting more electric cars. Now California can have this thing, but we have something called Domlec. And if man cannot even properly pay the bill for the light in the house, basically, you think man going to take the chance to then charge electric car that pull in 50 times more? It pull in 50 times more than your fridge, than your refrigerator, and refrigerator does pull plenty in Dominica, to then charge your car per day to pull 50 times more energy in Dominica. That makes no sense whatsoever. No sense at all. Unless they're planning to revamp the electrical unit by using solar devices and putting solar things all over the place, and as well as turbines and hydro. Now we're talking about renewable energy, and then maybe, just maybe, that will be a thought. But to think you're going to charge electric car in Dominica with Domlec being the monopoly, you mad? And you think Dominicans can then afford electric cars? When Dominica government and ministers have to be giving man free ticket to go and watch international cricket game in Park, you think they will be giving man free car for them to go and charge it on Domlec, on Domlec grid? That makes no sense. That doesn't make any sense at all.
Due to the rising popularity of electric vehicles, the picture becomes clear now. The Dominican government, which works on the instructions of the Biden administration, is deliberately selling poor quality fuel to working people.
These people are taking their own thing and making their own narrative and whatnot and putting it out there. These people have most of the information wrong. You seen people with big door. You think man can charge car in Dominica? yeah. But some people are more gods than fish, boy.
Class Dominicans so that it impacts their vehicles. But instead of cornering the US, it is putting the onus on Petrocarib, despite the US being its chief supplier of energy.
What?
It impacts their vehicles. But instead of cornering the US, it is putting the onus on Petrocarib, despite the US being its chief supplier of energy. When people's vehicles stop working in the future due to substandard fuels impacts, the US will offer its non-electric vehicles at cheaper rates to Dominica in order to give a boost to its EV sector.
It is one thing for the government, the US government, to want to offer cheap electric cars to Dominica. That's one thing. You can get them electric cars for free. But nobody in their right mind going to say, boy, let me charge my electric car on my house outlet. That is foolish. And who in their crazy mind? I remember when Ross was there. Ross was using capacity in Domlec. So for you to decide you go and put a set of grids all over the place, and then people have to be driving up on the mountain, using more energy to climb the mountain. Dominica is a hilly place, not a flat thing, like California. No. Dominica is a hilly place. So you decide you're going up and then your vehicle stuck on the hill, it's same thing finish. Your battery run out. Then man have to do like the Margie now. The Margie in California taking portable generators, that using diesel and gas to then charge their car. They changing up the thing to put it in to be able to charge their car. So why don't you just stick with the diesel and the thing? Because when your gas finish, you carry the portable thing. Human beings special, Them people car breaking down on them because they don't have much energy in the car, or they use up the energy in the car. They stuck somewhere in America because America road long. They stuck somewhere. They then have a portable generator that using diesel or gas to then recharge their car. So why don't you guys just use diesel and gas vehicles? You there like a Ted car bus pull up on the road charging your electric car with diesel and gas generators. Somehow you doesn't think at all. But because it's a trend, that's the thing that has been me. Because it's a trend and people see this is the trend. Oh yes, they call that creative demand. Oh, it's a trend, everybody need electric car, let's get electric car. Ted Calbas, use all your brain. They can, and even on the side track of that, guys, they can literally shut down your electric car. If you decide you want to do something or go somewhere, and then people hack into your electric car, and they say you don't going nowhere. They stopping your electric car for you, just like when auto trade. You don't pay auto trade. Auto trade have any device in your vehicle. If you don't pay them in 3 or whatever days, they don't stop in your vehicle for you. That's probably why you don't see some vehicles parked on the road, some brand new vehicles just parked on the road right there. Maybe auto trade shut down their vehicle. But anyways, let's get back to this.
Rates to Dominica in order to give a boost to its EV sector. In fact, lately the Prime Minister of St. Lucia, Philip J. Peer, emphasized how the West is selling.
I know St. Lucia has some electric cars because one of my partners has an electric car and he tends to charge it and stuff. But it's kind of hybrid. It's electric as well as using gas. So most of the time it tends to charge up while it's using the gas, and then you use the electricity. It shifts over. Some kind of magic does take place. So they tend to have some sort of in between mid ground with electric and diesel in the thing that tends to go further. So
a large number of outdated vehicles to poor and developing nations who eventually have to bear the brunt of its disposal. It is unfortunate that corrupt governments such as the one in Dominica
the one in Dominica is very corrupt indeed. So I cannot deny that. What you are saying is spot on, very corrupt.
Playing politics with the lives of common people who are already struggling with skyrocketing inflation, shortage of goods and debt distress.
And the rising gas prices, even though gas prices around the Caribbean, the sister islands, we're talking about, they are going down, whereas Dominica own going up. This is why most likely there's some sort of linkage with why that is happening. Why is the government, who got a lot of money, not doing things for the people instead he's making the people dependent on him? Why isn't the government taking the monies he has gotten from CBI to actually put things in place to rebuild the growth factor, rebuild the growth sectors in Dominica? Why aren't these things being taken care of? Instead, they are giving people's houses for them to be dependent on the government. They are putting building buildings in place that have nothing to do with the elevation of the people. They're not teaching people new skills or nothing like that. They're just talking the talk and building and say, hey, this is why you guys definitely need to tune into the next reaction video on what Nassif is saying on that very same sentiment. Because if you cannot see for yourself, maybe somebody else will have to tell you. Well, if you can't hear for yourself, maybe somebody will have to do sign language for you with Naruto now. Right, Naruto avatar, Naruto, Ninja Storm. Anyways, guys, let me know your thoughts in this regard right there. Do you believe everything that the lady's saying? What exactly do you agree with? What do you not agree with what she's saying there in what she's stating? Let me see if I can just run the end of this.
Remains to be seen whether this plan of Roosevelt's SKERRIT, which is entirely devoid of any morality and rationality, succeeds or not.
I think his rationale is totally void of any morality and critical thinking, or he's just simply wicked and looking for his benefit for him and his friends. The big question here is, who are his friends? Anyways, guys, all I said it before. If you know the answer to this question, leave your thoughts in the comment box below, as well as other things that I spoke about in this here reaction video. Give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on that post notification. The battery is still long. I still have to charge it. But anyways, guys, turn on this post notification so you can get all the videos as they tend to come from. I'll see you guys in the next reaction video. Don't forget to check out the latest one in the comment box below, guys. I'll see you guys in the next one. Boom, bang.